My wife started to change after meeting her new friend, but listening to everything she says is leading to her downfall. My wife is usually an angel, but recently she's become friends with a woman who I personally think is a bad influence on her. Not in a condescending way, more like a go to bed with dogs, wake up with fleas situation. I never said anything about her childish behavior or her very radical way of doing things because, frankly, it didn't bother me until it did. A few months ago, my wife started pressuring me to do more around the house. Before I get an instant "I'm the idiot" comment, we already divided the chores in childcare. I admit she had a bigger share than me because she's a homemaker, but I do most of the cooking. Breakfast and dinner, lunch is her responsibility for her and the kids. I take out the trash, do the laundry, and deep clean the bathrooms once a week. I also help with our kids' homework, among other things. She insists I'm not doing enough and that I should be doing more around the house. I tried having discussions with her, asking her what she expected of me. Basically, all the housework and childcare should be my responsibility. It seemed like we weren't making any progress for months. She mentioned the word divorce more than once when talking about this, which I found manipulative. The situation exploded one night when we were out with friends, and she started rant about how I never helped and how I treated her like a domestic slave, her words. I admit I was furious. The next part is where I can be the idiot. I didn't say anything that night, but the next day, I asked my boss to reduce my working hours for a while because of the stress, and I took over everything at home. I cooked breakfast and packed the kids' lunches before taking them to school. I cleaned the house from top to bottom. I washed all the dishes twice, and so on. My wife was extremely happy and bragged to her friend that she had finally tamed me. She didn't lift a finger for about a month. Then she started asking why we weren't going on dates anymore and complaining that she wanted to get her nails done since they were growing out. I explained that I had to cut that out of our budget so we could keep paying for everything else, but we could have a movie night at home, and I could paint her nails. She wasn't happy with that solution, so I asked if she wanted to get a part-time job to pay for those luxuries. You would have thought I was asking if she wanted to join a cult. Then she asked if she could just work longer hours to cover her other expenses, and she used the phrase "be a man," which I found more than a little insulting. Then I asked if she would be willing to go back to splitting chores and such. That's when she started to realize the two issues were connected. She yelled at me that I was being manipulative by doing this, even claiming it was financial abuse. I held out for a while, but now I'm questioning my methods, because even I feel like what I did was a little dishonest. Update 1. I've never been in a situation like this before. I'm a recovering addict myself, but I didn't have children back then. See my last post for more details. But the gist of it is that my wife and I had a huge argument. She admitted to using 2 substances for several months and has agreed to go to rehab, which we're currently arranging. Now, how on earth do I bring this up with my kids without them being critical or angry at their mother? Or worse, without falling into the same mental space I'm in? I don't want to lie to them, which is what my wife wants, but I don't see an alternative that won't destroy them or their respect for their mother. I'm completely lost here, and I've barely slept since all this came out. Any advice is appreciated. Thanks in advance. Update 2. See my profile for more details, but I was driving my wife to the rehab center we decided on. On the way, she was yelling at me about how she couldn't believe I was humiliating her like this, explaining what was happening to the kids, and making her text her dealer, her self-proclaimed friend, that they weren't going to be together or use drugs anymore. She kept saying she didn't want to go and that I was a controlling monster, and that threatening her with divorce and taking primary custody of the kids was going too far, and that I was crazy. I just endured it until I simply couldn't anymore, and I yelled at her. I yelled at the woman I knew would rather be dead than have a pill-popping junkie near her children, and how disgusted I was. I don't know if she knew how much I was considering leaving her, not because of the addiction, but because of the way she was acting, like she hadn't brought drugs into our home right in front of me. That I'm a former addict, and in front of our kids, so I'm starting to hate her for doing that. That she was becoming exactly what she always cried her mother was, and that she was lucky I was here to help her, before what happened to her damn mother happened to her damn kids too. I hate to say it, but seeing her sink into the reality of how far she'd fallen felt good. Seeing her realize her actions have consequences was nice. She yelled a few more times that I was abusive or whatever, but she kept crying, so I felt like she wasn't really saying it. I plan to talk to a lawyer. I don't want to divorce her, but I don't know how healthy our relationship could be after this. I know yelling like that was wrong, but I don't feel bad, and that's the part that makes me think maybe I shouldn't be married to her anymore, for her sake and mine. I don't know what else to do, and I'm so angry that she's detonated C4 in every part of our lives. Update 3. Before you read on, please understand that this is a rant. Normally, I would never be like this, but I need to get this poison out of my head before I take it anywhere else. She was cheating on me. The drug-dealing friend sent me videos of her dancing and rubbing herself against this ugly, redneck-looking bastard. I'm fucking devastated. The guys are staying with my mom for a few days, and I'm taking next week off work. I'm so finished. I've never been so angry in my fucking life. She was so fucking happy sending it. Like she was telling me, you're replaceable to her. Well, the free ride ends here. I hope I can get Medicaid for whatever she was taking. I saved the video immediately, and I'm going to see a lawyer ASAP. I can't tell anyone yet because I want to do this right. Thankfully, my parents insisted on a prenuptial agreement with what, at the time, I thought was an inhumane cheating clause. I've never been cheated on before, and I feel like I'm going to tear my hair out. Honestly, I never thought she'd turn out to be such a piece of trash. I don't know how to handle this. I'm physically unable to handle this. I haven't been able to keep food down, and I drank for the first time in over a decade last night. Then I woke up and had to pour the rest down the drain because I'm about to collapse. And my kids don't need mom and dad in rehab right now. I'm about to lose my mind. Also, believe what you want, but stop sending me private messages about how I should delete posts, or that posting about my personal relationship with my wife is wrong. Please leave me alone. It won't work. This is the only place I can talk about this. I want to clear something up. 2 of my 3 children are stepchildren, but I adopted them. They never had a father because their biological father was an absolute piece of trash. My biological son is the youngest and was born to a girlfriend who isn't around and doesn't want to be. My children are 9, 12, and 14 years old. She had 2 jobs when I met her, though both paid little, and I had been trying to find her a better one. As for the drug dealer, she was getting the drugs from her friend, who was a woman, and some of the men she cheated on me with. Update 4. You can read my other posts for more context on how I got here if you'd like, but in short, I was blind to my wife's addiction until she admitted it and entered rehab. While she was in rehab, I received evidence that she had been cheating on me frequently and with more than one person. I've been working on filing for divorce while she's in rehab, not only because of the cheating, but also because on top of everything else, I was nearly relapsing into my own addiction due to the stress of the situation. I couldn't even bear to think about her, and there's no room in a healthy relationship for that kind of mindset. Honestly, I didn't want to be in a room with her again to try mediation or counseling, because the last time I was alone with her, I raised my voice, and at the time, I even felt like she deserved it. Of course, I now know that what I did was terrible and could be considered abuse. Just another reason why I shouldn't be in a relationship with this woman. I moved all her belongings to our guest room, except for the pills I found hidden in her nightstand. I took pictures of them in their hiding place and then flushed them down the toilet. I also removed her from my bank account and credit cards. I talked to my children, explaining the situation without demonizing their mother as best I could, and they seemed to understand. I have no intention of abandoning them, and blood or no blood, they are my children. Then she came back home. The boys were and still are at camp, a birthday present paid for by my mother. She was quiet, her eyes on the floor from the moment I picked her up from the center until we got home. Once we arrived, I quietly led her to the guest room, and she didn't take it well. She started crying before I could even make a move. Over the next few weeks, I let her settle in, and although I carefully remained neutral, I know she could tell something was coming. But I wanted to do it as fairly as possible, and try to let her adjust to being out before saying anything. Because that was something I hated myself when I got out of rehab. Everything was coming at me so fast that I didn't have time to breathe. Finally, I asked her to sit on the couch, and I started explaining that I didn't think I could stay married to her and that I wanted a divorce. I should have known her reaction was completely wrong. She didn't say anything at all. She just nodded and cried silently as I spoke. I explained that I didn't mean to hurt her, but that I couldn't stay married to her, and that maybe we should both focus on being the best parents we can be. I told her I didn't intend to kick her out and that because of our prenuptial agreement, the divorce should be clear and certain, and that she should now feel confident enough to start looking for a job. And once she has a job, I'll help her find an apartment. With that, she got up and walked toward her room. I let her because I thought she must be overwhelmed, and this conversation could wait. She didn't come out for dinner, and I debated whether I should leave her alone or not. Finally, I decided to knock and ask if she was hungry. In short, she had somehow smuggled pills into my house, or she had a stash I wasn't aware of and overdosed. She was clinically dead for several minutes in the ambulance, and she's in a medically induced coma because the doctors aren't sure how much damage it's done to her brain. From what they've said, I feel like an absolute monster, like I'm the scum of the earth, like I should have just said nothing, like I should have just handled it, just sunk in and stayed. I'm responsible for this, and it's killing me. I may not have the same love for her as before, but I'm so sorry for everything that's happened. It's killing me. I haven't told my kids yet, and I'm considering waiting until they get back from camp, so they can have a little more time without this on their minds, on top of everything else. Sorry about the grammar and everything, I don't have the energy to edit this, but I wanted to get it off my chest. Update 5. My wife is dead. I haven't updated in a while, and I'm sorry, but I guess you can guess why. I just wasn't feeling up to it. I know everyone was saying she was manipulating me or trying to make me stay with her, but honestly, even if that were the case, it didn't matter because the moment she woke up, we both started crying and talking, and we didn't stop for days. She went back to rehab for a while, then got out, and we both did couples and individual therapy. She seemed happy, she seemed better, and I had hoped the craziness was over, that we would just be happy again. I didn't update at the time because, frankly, I was scared of how people would react. I don't handle being yelled at well. She promised me that if anything happened, if there was anything she needed to talk to me about, she wouldn't hesitate. Everything was going well, and now? When I ask myself if there were any signs that she would relapse or that she never stopped, the answer is no. Nothing, except that she overdosed at her friend's house while I was at work and died on her couch. The friend didn't even want to call an ambulance. Her boyfriend had to convince her, too. I don't think either of them were arrested that day, but I know from the newspaper that she was arrested a few months ago for selling drugs. Everyone told me to go to the police, and honestly, maybe I should have. But with the way the police operate, it wouldn't have done much good. Since then, I've been drifting terribly. I started smoking again, something I quit before we got married because she hated the smell. I hate the smell now, too, but putting something in my mouth is comforting. My children are in therapy and are coping with the loss as best as they possibly can. The 2 younger ones talk about her a lot, but the oldest is mostly angry. I'm grateful that he doesn't seem to want to tell his siblings about it, but I always let him tell me whatever's on his mind, even when it breaks my heart. I know that maybe everyone here has some idea of who my wife was, but one thing you could never deny was how much she loved our children. They were her pride and joy, absolutely everything to her. I miss her. I miss her so much it feels like it's hard to breathe. There's never any music playing when I get home now, and I hate it. I hate the silence so much that some days before I go inside, I sit in the car and just cry because I know she won't be there. I haven't even been able to clean her side of the bathroom yet. It smells too strong to even think about getting rid of her perfume or her toothbrush. I haven't felt like writing for obvious reasons, but something seems important now, so I will. Valentine's Day is tomorrow. On my way home from work recently, I caught myself calculating the price of flowers before remembering that I don't have anyone to give them to, unless I put them on her grave. I remember being angry about how expensive roses were getting, and now that seems so silly. I just wanted to say, if you have someone you love, please love them. Do something extra nice for the person you love tomorrow. For me, nothing crazy, but maybe you could dance in the living room to your song or read to each other. Something gentle or sweet, to let them know you're real and really, really there for them. I know that's super cliche and cheesy, and if Alex were here now, he'd actively bully me. But sadly, those old bastards were always right. Life's short, isn't it?